The sanitation worker is caught on camera during his usual shift. What you see him doing with the neighborhood dog will surprise you. Twice a week, regularly, the sanitation worker would come to Joshua Burns's house. Joshua had recently adopted a golden retriever named Shelby from a shelter. Shelby was a shy dog, haunted by her past, which made her especially wary of strangers. Whenever the sanitation worker arrived, Shelby would bark fiercely at him, indicating the trust issues she had from her days in the shelter. The sanitation worker was also afraid of dogs, and he was careful to keep a safe distance while quickly emptying the Burns family's trash bins. Despite Shelby's barking, she never approached him. Every time he arrived at the Burns family's house, she was outside barking loudly, and her barking echoed throughout the neighborhood. The sanitation worker always did his job diligently, but he worked quickly, not wanting to interact with Shelby. One day, while the sanitation worker was quickly emptying the Burns family's bins, he felt something touch him. His legs froze in fear, thinking the dog had finally approached him. He turned to find Shelby sitting in front of him, her eyes full of curiosity and caution. He jumped into his truck, terrified by the unexpected encounter. At work, he often saw, or at least heard, a lot of dogs, but he always made sure to stay out of their way. He had never met another dog in the neighborhood that showed him such disdain, then came and sat next to him. Later that week, when the janitor returned, Shelby was waiting near the sidewalk. This time, she didn't bark, as if she sensed his fear and decided to give him a chance. Reluctantly, he patted her head before returning to his truck. He hadn't touched a dog in many years, after being bitten by one in his childhood. His fear of being hurt by a dog had stayed with him into adulthood. Despite patting Shelby, he had no desire to start making friends with her, but he was very curious about the sudden change in the dog's behavior. And if he was honest with himself, he felt a bit special because of it. Weeks passed like this. Shelby never tried to touch the janitor, but she allowed him to gently pat her head. She seemed to understand his fear and respect his boundaries. In turn, the janitor began to appreciate Shelby's strength and quiet patience. He knew that Shelby could sense his hesitation and fear. He admired how she allowed him to do things at his own pace, without pushing him to do anything more than a quick pat. One day, when the janitor stopped by the Burns family's house, something was different. Shelby was sitting there, as always. But this time, the janitor got out of the truck, both of his fists clenched. Shelby felt afraid and started to back away. She was used to the caution the janitor showed around her, but he had never shown any hatred or violence toward her. And based on her sad experience, she knew what clenched fists could mean. She was cautious. The janitor approached Shelby, his fists still tightly clenched. What he did next was shocking. He sensed that Shelby was afraid. He knelt down on the ground, unclenched his fists, and placed his hands on the ground in front of him so Shelby could see them. In one of his hands, he was holding a dog treat, and in the other, a new ball for Shelby to play with. Shelby hesitated for a moment, before rushing to accept the treat and the ball, her tail wagging with joy. The janitor laughed, his fear melted away, and he gave her a big scratch behind the ears. Since that day, every time the janitor visited the Burns family's house, he would spend a few minutes of his busy day sitting on the floor with Shelby, scratching her ears and rubbing her belly. This became the highlight of his week, and Shelby adored her new friend. The couple overcame their lack of trust in each other to form a very special bond. The janitor would often bring Shelby a little candy as well, which made the happy dog even happier. He would smile as Shelby eagerly accepted the treat and ran around the yard with it in her mouth, without the janitor knowing. Joshua Burns had captured these touching moments on his surveillance camera. Joshua had become curious about why Shelby stopped barking at the janitor, and since Shelby was a bit cautious around people, he wanted to see what was happening between his dog and the janitor. When he watched the footage, he was deeply moved by what he saw. He was amazed by the unnoticed kindness shown by people like the janitor in a world where everyone seems to be in a hurry. The janitor took the time to connect with Shelby, proving that simple acts of kindness can bridge even the widest gaps. He was honestly touched by the beautiful friendship between Shelby and the janitor. Joshua decided to share the footage on YouTube. The video quickly went viral and captured the hearts of viewers around the world. They admired Shelby's calm nature and the janitor's genuine kindness. The next time the janitor arrived at the Burns family's house, he was greeted not only by Shelby, but also by Joshua with a warm smile on his face. Joshua reached out his hand to the janitor, expressing his gratitude for the bond he had formed with Shelby. Joshua shared with the janitor the sad story of Shelby's past, and how she came from a shelter, burdened with traumatic experiences that made her wary of people. As Joshua spoke, the janitor listened attentively. He realized the depth of Shelby's suffering and the tremendous courage it took for her to trust again. In that moment, the janitor fully realized the impact of his actions. He hadn't just gained a friend, he had given Shelby a chance to heal and to feel love and trust again. Moved by Joshua's sincere words, the janitor shared his own story and the deep fear that had haunted him since childhood. He confessed to Joshua about the painful incident where he was bitten by a dog, a traumatic experience that left him terrified of dogs. Since then, just seeing a dog would give him chills and trigger anxiety and panic attacks. Joshua listened with empathy, realizing the courage it took for the janitor to face his fear every day, especially in a job that required him to encounter dogs inevitably. No one imagined that the golden retriever, who had a rough start in life, would help the janitor overcome a great fear. Likewise, no one thought that simple acts of kindness toward the janitor could mean so much to Shelby and her new owner. Since that day, a true friendship grew between the janitor, Joshua, and Shelby. They became a testament to the power of empathy and the transformative impact it can have on both humans and animals alike. The janitor had always found great joy in his work. For him, there was a unique sense of satisfaction in the routine, in the familiar sound of the garbage truck engines, and in the tangible impact he made on the neighborhood. He enjoyed the cleanliness and the physical activity of the job, and the way it kept him active and outdoors every day as he emptied the bins and kept the area clean. He felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Moreover, he appreciated the brief friendly interactions with people along his route, the smiles and greetings that made his work feel like more than just a job. And now, after Shelby the golden retriever came into his life, his work became even more rewarding, as the moments he spent with her added an extra layer of happiness to his already meaningful job. From that moment on, the cleaner and Joshua always spent a few minutes chatting whenever they saw each other. Shelby remained the center of attention, never missing a scratch or a treat from the cleaner. Joshua's video about Shelby and the cleaner got nearly 5 million views. The video served as a reminder that compassion and understanding can transform even the most unexpected relationships. Thanks to Shelby and the cleaner, the world learned that sometimes the most touching stories are found in the most unexpected places. Now it's your turn. What are your thoughts about the relationship that formed between Shelby and the cleaner? Do you think the world needs more people like the cleaner? And why do we want to hear your thoughts? So please leave a comment below. Thank you for watching.